Hello students, welcome on my new platform. Now today we are discuss the very important subject. This is physics. Okay, and according to this we are discuss the first very important chapter according to our competitive examinations. So this is very essential, and this important chapter is electrostatics. So let first of all we are discuss about electrostatics. But then before, if you like this technique right now, so please comment me, because as per our next lecture, now definitely I can develop one another important techniques to improve my lectures right now. So that's why please comment me. So let's we discuss about electrostatics. What is electrostatics? What is the concept of electrostatics? So we know that actually we are good familiar about electrostatics, because in last year we are already discussed the concept of electrostatics. Right now, their important terms, conditions, we are already good familiar about this. But according to this year, according to 12th standard, according to this new syllabus, now we are discuss once again the concept of electrostatics. But when we discuss about electrostatics, we can revise some important terms according to their introduction part, and then after we are continue according to our new syllabus in 12th standard. Okay, so first of all we can revise some important terms. So in which terms we can revise? So this first important term we can revise here, and this term is Coulomb's law. Okay, so we can revise only that terms, they are more useful as per our new syllabus. Okay, according to the chapter of electrostatics. So in which terms it is very essential to know that due to the study of electrostatics. Let's remember this, the first important term we can need to understand, and that is Coulomb's law. So what is the concept of Coulomb's law? So what is the statement of Coulomb's law? But then before, you are good familiar, and it is also you also know that now if two like charges are brought together, okay, if two like charges are brought together, it will repel. Right now, if two like charges, imagine that first charge is positive and second charge is also positive. When these two positive charges, when these two negative charges, it means two like charges are brought together, so it will just repel right now. But if we consider first positive and another negative, they like unlike charges, and we know that unlike charges are attract together. Okay, this is very important term. So like charges are repelled and unlike charges are attract together right now. So let's imagine that the charge q1. Okay, let's imagine that this is charge q1 and this is positive charge right now. So we consider one another charge, and this charge is q2, and this is also negative charge. So this is unlike charges. Okay, so we know that these two charges are situated at the separated distance between their centers are r from each other, small r from each other right now. And we know that as per the statement of Coulomb's law, the unlike charges are attract together. It means that this is positive and negative, there are two different charges, unlike charges, so it means both attract together with the help of force right now. And if we consider the positive charge and another is also positive charge, okay, when we consider two positive charge, when we consider two negative charge, now these two positive charges are repelled together, and these two negative charges are also repelled together. So this is like charges. Like charges are repelled together. Okay, and this is unlike charges. Unlike charges are attract together. Right now. So with the help of this, we have discussed the statement of Coulomb's law, and it is very simple and easy statement. Now there are 2 point charges. Okay, there are 2 point charges at rest. Now the force of attraction, let's see the force of attraction and repulsion between them. Okay, so there are 2 point charges q1 and q2, they are at rest. Okay, there are force between two charges like attraction and repulsion between two charges, between 2 point charges at rest is what? Is directly proportional to the product of magnitude of two charges and inversely proportional to the square of the distance between them. Okay, this is very simple and easy statement of Coulomb's law. Okay, the force of attraction and repulsion between 2 point charges at rest is directly proportional to the product of magnitude of two charges, first charge q1 and second charge q2. Okay, this force, let's see the statement. This force of attraction and repulsion between 2 point charges at rest is directly proportional to the magnitude of product between two charges, magnitude of product of two charges like q1 and q2. And the same force is inversely proportional to the square of the distance between them. Okay, the force of attraction and repulsion between 2 point charges at rest is directly proportional to the product of magnitude of two charges and inversely proportional to the square of the distance between them. It is very easy and simple statement. So it means that F is directly proportional to the product of magnitude of two charges and inversely proportional to the square of the distance between them. It means F is directly proportional to q1 q2 divided by r square. So it means that we can write this equation F is equal to k, that is constant, and this constant k into q1 q2 divided by r square. What is k? So we know that this k is the constant of proportionality. Okay, and their value will change. The constant k, their value is changed due to medium. Okay, if the medium gets changed, their value is also changed. But if these two charges in free space, okay, if we consider about free space, now the value of k is denoted by k is equal to 1 upon 4 pi epsilon naught. Okay, what is the value of k? K is the value of 1 upon 4 pi epsilon naught. Okay, so what is this epsilon naught? So epsilon naught is the absolute permittivity, okay, permittivity of free space. Okay, this is permittivity of free space. And what is their value? So their value is epsilon naught is equal to 8.85 into 10 raised to power minus 12 Coulomb square per Newton meter square. Okay, this is the value. Okay, epsilon naught is equal to 8.85 into 10 raised to power minus 12 Coulomb square per Newton meter square. Right now, so if we find out this k is equal to 1 upon 4 pi epsilon naught on free space, so we can write the same equation of force. F is equal to what we write? K. So k means what? 1 upon 4 pi epsilon naught into what is this? q1 q2 divided by r square. It means that the same equation we can write F is equal to q1 q2 divided by 4 pi epsilon naught into r square. So this is the force of attraction and repulsion between 2 point charges. Okay, this is very easy and simple statement of Coulomb's law. This is first essential term according to this chapter. So I hope to understand this. The force of attraction and repulsion between. Okay, so as per Coulomb state only the force of attraction and repulsion between two charges. Very easy and simply. So after that, so one another important term we have discussed according to this chapter, and this term is electric flux. Okay, so this is one another second important condition according to this chapter, that is electric flux, and we know that this electric flux is denoted by phi. Okay, so imagine that this is a charge, this is a positive charge. Okay, and when we consider positive charge, now electric field produces in the surrounding region of the positive charge. Let's see that type the electric field produces, and we know that this electric field produces, and this electric field is represents this electric lines of forces. Okay, this electric field is represents electric lines of forces, and this is denoted by E. So electric field is denoted by E. So what is electric field? Simply electric field is represents the region around the charge. Okay, electric field is represents the region around the charge. Okay, and this is represents electric lines of forces. This is a vector quantity. Okay, so always remember that these electric lines of forces are emitted through the positive charge and they ends towards the negative charge. Okay, so imagine that there are many electric lines of forces will passing through the positive charge right now. So we consider one such a smallest area here, and their area will be denoted by ds. Okay, so let's imagine that any one area between this region, between this electric field right now. So after that, according to the definition of electric flux, so how many electric lines of forces? The number of electric lines of forces passing through the given area, passing from the area right now. So this is electric flux. Okay, electric flux means what? The number of electric lines of forces passing through the given area is called electric flux. This electric flux is denoted by phi, and their total electric flux is denoted by, their electric field will be denoted by E, uniform electric field E, and their area will be denoted by ds. Okay, so phi is equal to E into ds. Right now, this is simple definition of electric flux. The number of electric lines of forces passing through the given area. This electric field will be denoted by E, and their area will be denoted by ds. Okay, but just observe here, this E is also vector quantity, ds is also vector quantity, but this phi is the scalar quantity. Electric flux is the scalar quantity. Okay, and remember that, you know this is a product of two vector. Okay, this is a product of two vector, and the answer is a scalar. So it means that this is a scalar product between two vector. Okay, and the scalar product between two vector we can write in their magnitude. So what is the magnitude? So this magnitude is represent E ds into cos theta. You know, in last year, due to the first chapter, we are definitely get the total idea about the scalar product between two vector and vector product between two vector. Right now, this is a dot product. Right now, this is a dot product, and this is a scalar product between two vector, because these two vectors are multiplied together, so we get the scalar quantity. So scalar product between two vector and their magnitude will be denoted by E into ds cos theta. Right now, so electric flux is a scalar quantity. So remember this. This is second term. Right now, and after that, third important term we are discuss, and this term is Gauss law. Okay, Gauss law, because according to our syllabus we have discussed the applications of Gauss law, that's why it is essential. So what is Gauss law? And then after we have discussed their applications right now. So when we discuss about Gauss law, so first of all we can write their statement. Let's see the very easy and simple statement. So this is the electric flux. So we find out here electric flux, and also by using the Gauss law we also find out the electric flux. Okay, now see the statement of Gauss law. The Gauss, it state that the total electric flux, okay, we also find out the total electric flux through a closed surface we can find out the total electric flux, but through the closed surface enclosing a charge is equal to the 1 upon epsilon naught times the magnitude of charge enclosed. Okay, let's see the total electric flux. It means that by using Gauss law we also determine the total electric flux, total flux right now, and this total flux due to the closed surface. Okay, through the closed surface enclosing a charge. It means that between the closed surface the total charge will be enclosed. And what is their total electric flux? Their total flux we find out according to Gauss law. Right now, enclosing a charge is equal to the, what is equal? 1 upon epsilon naught times the magnitude of the charge enclosed. What it means? It means very easy. Imagine that this is a closed surface. This is denoted by S. Right now, this is a closed surface. And between this closed surface, there are many charges will deposited. There are many charges will enclosed. Okay, there are many charges are enclosed. Right now. So imagine that the first charge. And if the first charge, so this charge is also produces electric field. Right now, it means that they also produces their own flux. What is the flux of first charge? So how many amount of flux produces due to the second charge? As same as what is the total electric flux through this closed surface. Okay, so we can measure the total electric flux between this closed surface. Okay, so this total electric flux is equal to the 1 upon epsilon naught times the magnitude of the charge. So imagine that the total charge is Q, is enclosed between the charge. So that's why this charge is denoted by enclosed charge. Okay, enclosed charge means they situated between the closed surface. So this total charge will be denoted by Q. Okay, they produces their own total electric flux. This total electric flux is equal to the 1 upon epsilon naught times the magnitude of the charge enclosed. It means that by using this Gauss law, we also find out the net electric flux. It means total electric flux, and this is always equal to the enclosed charge divided by epsilon naught. And this is also right. Enclosed charge mana kyu directly without directly we can write Q. So that is Q is the total charge, Q upon epsilon naught. Okay, this is the simple statement of Gauss law. Okay, I hope to understanding Coulomb's law, electric flux, and the concept of Gauss law. Okay, and then after we are discuss according to our new syllabus the concept of electrostatics. So let's discuss the first application of electrostatics. Okay, so we can rub this. The first application of Gauss law. The first application for Gauss law. What is the first application of Gauss law? To find what we find? To find the electric field intensity. What we find out? We find out electric field intensity due to uniformly charged spherical shell or hollow sphere. Okay, so we find out the electric field intensity due to a uniformly charged spherical shell or hollow sphere. Okay, so we find out the electric field intensity. So we find out the electric field intensity at the given point but uniformly charged spherical shell or the hollow sphere. So imagine that this is a spherical shell, imagine. Okay, let's say this is a spherical shell and this is uniformly charged. So it means that their total positive charges will deposited outside the spherical shell. Okay, there are positive charges will deposited, and we know that very well. When the positive charges will deposited on the surface of sphere, now the electric field produces, and we know also this electric field produces in outward direction because this is a positive charge, and we know that this electric field is moving positive towards negative. Okay, this is electric field will be developed and this electric field is moving in outward direction. Let's see that type. This is electric field and this electric field is moving in outward direction, and this electric field is denoted by E. E is the electric field right now. Okay, so if the electric field produces between the region around the uniformly charged sphere, now we find out the electric field intensity at the given point. Imagine that here the point P. Okay, imagine that here point P, and we find out the electric field intensity at the same point, at the point P. So what we find out? So when we find out the electric field at the given point around the charged sphere, now simply first of all we can draw the Gaussian surface. Let's see, this dotted circle is indicate that it is a Gaussian surface. Okay, This is a Gaussian surface like a sphere. Gaussian sphere we can draw, and this Gaussian sphere is passing through the point P right now. But then before see, this charge sphere whose radius will be denoted by r. R is the radius of the charge sphere. And when we draw the Gaussian sphere, now their radius will be denoted by small r. So small r is the radius of Gaussian sphere and capital R is the radius of charge sphere. Let's we find out the electric field intensity at the given point P. Okay, so that's why we can consider a one such a smallest area at the point P, and this area is denoted by ds. Okay, area will be denoted by ds. Now when the total charges will deposited on the surface of uniformly sphere, now their surface charge density is denoted by sigma. Sigma is the surface charge density, and we know that the surface charge density is denoted by Q upon area, that is A. Surface charge density. Okay, so per meter square, how many charges will deposited on the surface? That is surface charge density, and their surface charge density will be denoted by sigma is equal to Q upon A. So A is the area of the charge sphere, and we know that their area will be denoted by Q upon area. So area is 4 pi capital R square. This is the area of charge sphere right now. So when we consider any one smallest area ds, so first of all we can find out the total electric flux passing through this area, and this electric flux we have find out with the help of Gauss law. So first of all we find out the electric flux passing through the smallest area ds by using the definition of Gauss law. So by using Gauss law, we find out the electric flux, and this electric flux phi is equal to, what is the definition of Gauss law? So the net electric flux passing through the closed surface. Okay, and we know that this enclosed surface between this total area between the closed surface now is 1 upon epsilon naught times the magnitude of charge enclosed right now. So it means that the total flux is denoted by phi is equal to Q upon epsilon naught. Call this equation number 1. By using the Gauss law, we find out the electric flux through the area ds, and this is denoted by Q is equal to phi is equal to Q upon epsilon naught. Okay, but by using the definition of electric flux, okay, by using the definition of electric flux, what is the definition of electric flux? By using the definition of electric flux, we also find out the net flux. Okay, we also find out the net flux, and this net flux is equal to, okay, what is the value of net flux by using the definition of electric flux? So this is equal to, we find out E ds into cos theta right now. But we find out the electric field intensity at the given point P. Okay, and when we find out the total electric flux, now this value is denoted by in the integration, okay, addition between all that smallest elements. So phi is equal to integration of E ds into cos theta, and their vector form we know that this is denoted by E into ds. Okay, this is the net electric flux by using the definition of electric flux right now. So phi is equal to the integration of E into ds in vector form. But actually we know that when we draw the Gaussian surface, now you know, if we draw the Gaussian surface, now electric field is always perpendicular to the Gaussian surface. This is the first important condition when we draw the Gaussian surface around any shape right now. And second one, this electric field intensity at every point on the Gaussian surface are same. This is very important right now. This electric field intensity at every point on the Gaussian sphere are equal. So it means that in this equation, so this E is the constant. They cannot be changed. So it means that the net electric flux is denoted by phi is equal to, call equation number 2 is, okay. So this E get constant, get outside, and remaining integration of ds. So what is the integration of ds? Let's see the first area here, second here, third here. So when we integrate all that areas, so we find out the total area of the Gaussian sphere right now. So it means that integration of ds, so integration of ds is the total surface area. Okay, total surface area, and we know that their value total surface area of the Gaussian sphere. So this is equal to, let's see, this is the Gaussian sphere and their radius will be denoted by small r. It means that their area will be denoted by 4 pi r square, total area. Right now, so put this value integration of ds in equation number 3rd. So what we find? We find out the net flux. So net flux is equal to E get outside, and integration of ds is the 4 pi small r square, called equation number 4. Let's observe the equation number 1. This is the total flux by using the Gauss law, and this is also total flux by using the definition of electric flux. So it means that comparing this equation 1 and 4. Okay, comparing equation 1 and 4. Okay, comparing equation 1 and 4. So comparing equation, so equation first is q upon epsilon naught, and let's see the second equation, E into 4 pi r square. Okay, so by using this comparison we find out E is the electric field intensity, and this electric field intensity is equal to, what is E? So q upon what we find? So 4 pi r square into this epsilon naught. Okay, so call this equation number 5th, and this is the electric field intensity. Okay, this is the equation of electric field intensity. But according to the surface charge density, we know that sigma is equal to q upon a, and sigma is equal to q upon a. Area is the 4 pi r square. Right now we know that here sigma is equal to q upon 4 pi r square. Right now, according to the surface charge density. So what is the value of q? So q is equal to what? Sigma into 4 pi r square. Right now, so put this value of charge in equation number 5. So what we find? Okay, so we find out the electric field intensity is equal to q. So what is q? Q is the sigma into 4 pi small r square, and whole divided by, what is the value of here? 4 pi. Okay, sorry. Now their capital R square. So we can write here capital R square. Okay. Now here capital R square. Okay, this is the surface charge density due to the charge sphere right now, and their radius will be denoted by r. So that's why here capital R. So we can write here capital R right now. And divided by, what is divided by? 4 pi r square into epsilon naught. So which factors are cancelled? So 4 5 get cancel. So remaining electric field intensity E is equal to, what is remaining? Sigma into r square divided by r square into epsilon naught. Okay, this is the equation of electric field intensity as per surface charge density. Okay, this is the equation of electric field intensity due to the surface charge density. This is very important. Equation number 6. They represents the electric field intensity at the given point P. Okay, so clear? Okay, I hope to understand this. It is very important and it is very easy. So what is the technique if the same question is asked on the board examination? So what we write? Simply, we can draw this diagram. Okay, and in which factors we can observe this diagram? We can observe this is a charge sphere. The total charge is deposited outside. Okay, the radius is capital R. The electric field will be produced in outward direction. We consider any one point P. So we can draw the Gaussian sphere. The radius is small r, and then after we can draw the one such a smallest area ds at the point P. And let's we find out the total flux by using Gauss law, and we also find out the total flux by using the definition of electric flux. Okay, so what is the theory? So consider this is a charge sphere. So what we can write? We write just explain this diagram. Okay, consider a charge sphere of radius capital R. These total positive charges are deposited in outward direction. Then electric field is also produces in outward direction. Okay, so consider any one point P. We find out the electric field intensity at the point P. So we can draw the Gaussian sphere, and this Gaussian sphere of radius small r, and they passing through the point P. Consider any one smallest area ds at the point P. So by using the definition of Gauss law, their electric field, their electric flux will be denoted by phi is equal to q upon epsilon naught. Consider equation number 1. But by using the definition of electric flux, so electric flux epsilon E into ds cos theta, it means integration a vector E into ds. So E get constant right now, get outside. Integration of ds means what? The total surface area of the Gaussian sphere. It means their area 4 pi r square. So we find out phi is equal to E into 4 pi r square. When we comparing this equation number 4 and 1, because this is also net electric flux by using Gauss law, and this is also net flux by using the definition of electric flux, we comparing these two equation and we find out electric field intensity. But then after, when we find out the electric field intensity, so as per surface charge density, we also find out the electric field intensity E is equal to sigma into r square divided by r square into epsilon naught. Okay, but then after we are discuss the special cases. So first case we are discuss here. Okay, two important cases. Let's see the first important case. Now imagine that if the point P, what is the first case? If the point P is situated on the charge sphere. Let's see the first case. If the point P is situated on the charge sphere. Let's see here. Actually point P is situated on the Gaussian sphere right now. So but this point P, just imagine that situated here. This is the point P. So what happened when the point P is here? So this small r will be cancelled. Okay, because distance is remaining only the capital R. So it means that the simple condition r is equal to capital R. Okay, and what happened when r is equal to r? So simply their electric field on the charge sphere, this electric field E is equal to, let's see the equation, sigma into capital R square divided by r square, small r square. But small r square is equal to what? R. Small r is equal to capital R. It means capital R square into epsilon naught. So this capital R will be cancelled and we find out electric field intensity on the surface of charge sphere, and this is denoted by sigma upon epsilon naught. This is first case. Okay, what happened when the point P will be shifted? Second case. Okay, second case. Let's see if the point P is situated inside the sphere. So what happened when the point P is situated inside the sphere? Let's see, this point will be shifted and they will be here inside the sphere, inside the charge sphere. So but actually we know that inside the sphere there is no any charge situated just outside. Okay, charge situated outside the sphere. So inside the sphere there is no any charge. It means there is no any electric field produces. So inside the charge the electric field is equal to 0. You get the knowledge? Okay, so this is the first application of Gauss law. Okay, and their special cases. I hope to understand. This is very important. First law, okay, that is first application of Gauss law to find out the electric field intensity due to a uniform charge spherical shell or hollow sphere. Right now,